There's a sign on the floor. Looks as if it fell off. Great idea, but I think I have to try this in a different order. A nice little fishing rod, almost done. Through the window? Not possible. Huh. Let's see what's written on it. There, a messenger number. That will help me out.
Huntington Antiques.
Ah, good afternoon, Mr. Huntington. Are you open for business?
Of course.
But the door is closed. Would you mind to open the door for me?
What do you want exactly?
Well, take a look around. Maybe buy something. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Well, I'll open up for you.
Ah, there you are. Good afternoon. Great that it all worked out this time.
Come in, young man.
Thank you. I don't believe it. He keeps pigeons in here. First, I should talk to him.
Now, son, what can I do for you?
As I mentioned, I would like to look around a bit. Really a great store that you have here.
Well, things have accumulated over the years.
I've never been in a shop like yours before. It's fascinating. Makes you feel like you want to move in immediately. Oh, by the way, I'm Peter. Peter Wright.
Nice to meet you, Peter. Please, make yourself at home.
Let me ask you, would you mind to tell me a little bit about your shop? Everywhere you look around here, it seems to breathe interesting stories.
If you like, please. I don't have much company here, and most young people aren't at all interested in old things. They just want consoles, telescreens, well, you know, whatever is trendy these days.
Yeah, of course. And I have to admit, I have a telescreen myself. I hope I can stay anyway.
Of course you can.
Do you have many customers? I would assume that especially here in Greenwich, you should have a potentially well-off clientele.
What makes you think that? I sell almost nothing, but that's not important. I have the things I love around me. What use would they be in the sterile apartment of some yuppie who has no sense for the soul of things?
Oh, I understand. But how do you manage to get by then? And besides, this shop is costing you money as well.
The house belongs to me. The government bureaucrats were kind enough to give it to me in exchange for my departure from the Lower East Side.
How long have you had this shop?
I started in 2018 with a shop in the Lower East Side. Back then it was still a decent place, you know. In 2032 I had to move because the government had ordered the restructuring of the area.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Since then, the shop has been here. I've redesigned it to look exactly as it was on the Lower East Side.
Did you get a chance recently to take a look around the Lower East Side?
Oh yes, I was there a couple of years ago. Terrible. The whole area's fallen apart. The houses look like something out of Europe just after the Second World War, and the only people in the streets are criminals. It's a tragedy what they did to that part of the city.
Where did you get all these things from?
Oh, well, from a lot of different places. I get things from house clearances, from other dealers, stuff people chuck out. Sometimes people come in with family heirlooms, and a few things are from my own family.
Some of them look pretty European.
Oh, yes, yes. I used to import a lot from Europe. The antiques market is, of course, a lot bigger there, and pieces are cheaper, too.
I bet it took forever to collect all these things.
I've spent my whole life doing it.
Isn't it illegal to sell these printed books?
Maybe.
These books are not scanned, right?
I'm of the opinion that non-scanned books are just as interesting as scanned ones, if not even more interesting.
But this way, these books are not really available to everybody. That way you make information, once again, private property. It becomes luxury for privileged people only. The law about the electronic gathering of printed material is supposed to...
To democratize the written word. Is that what you mean?
But of course, that's how it actually is. Actually, you would have to turn these books into the Department of Communications so they can get scanned. Afterwards, you will actually get them back.
Nobody has ever gotten books back from the Department of Communications. And not even a tenth of the books have appeared online.
Yeah, well, that's because it will take some time until everything will be fed into the system. As time goes by, there are just more and more editions, so we have to have a little patience.
It's rather astounding how effective this propaganda still is. The law on electronic registration is a censorship measure, disguised as democratization of information, my son.
You're serious about this, aren't you?
Don't let yourself be deceived by the lies on the telescreens and the cheap slogans of the dumb yuppies and the communication agencies. Yes?
No, it's okay.
I'm keeping hold of my books in any case. You can read them anytime you want. Here and now.
Why do you keep pigeons in here?
Why do you ask that?
Oh, just like that, because I was curious. I mean, it's actually not exactly common to keep pigeons in closed rooms, especially not in an antique shop.
Well, yes, you're probably right. Let's just say they're my hobby.
I would say it's really pretty unusual that someone keeps pigeons in his place of business. Wouldn't you say?
They're practical, and they're company.
What could be practical about this?
They're carrier pigeons.
Carrier pigeons? Seriously? You really send your mail through pigeons? Are you serious?
Only that way.
That is absolutely unbelievable. My grandfather told me about his carrier pigeons, but that was 30 years ago.
Today, they're worth more than ever.
But carrier pigeons are really slow, and I mean, there are 1,000 other ways to communicate.
But no other way is as safe. Whatever I send by carrier pigeons cannot be read in any computer, and it will not go into any archive.
Oh, I understand. You're worried that someone could invade your privacy.
Don't you?
I'm not quite sure. I would like to think that the security standards are pretty high everywhere. You just have to watch out who you let get into your private stuff.
Security? For who?
For us. For you and me. For everybody. My neighbor can't snoop through my mailbox. It works as good as a real mailbox would.
So then, why must carrier pigeons be reported?
Carrier pigeons have to be reported?
Certainly. It's been like that for the last 15 years.
Well, please don't get me wrong, but you could use them to conduct illegal communication, and that's not in the interest of the communal safety.
So, my privacy threatens communal safety. Is that it?
Depending on the circumstances, yeah. Any offense wouldn't be a private matter, would it? There's always a compromise.
That sort of safety I can do without. And that sort of compromise, too.
And that's not only your decision alone. That's why we have laws. And they serve us all.
Well, they don't serve me. I use pigeons.
Don't get me wrong, Mr. Huntington, but bug-proofed carrier pigeons and so on, that sounds to me just a wee bit paranoid. Do you really feel persecuted?
Oh, you know, persecuted isn't a nice word. Let's just say I have my own views about the world.
But it must be pretty strenuous to permanently live with that kind of fear.
Oh, yes. Tell me, have you ever heard of the NSA, Peter?
Here and there, but they don't exist anymore. For almost 30 years now.
Do you know of the Echelon program, dating back to 1990?
1900 when? No, sorry, I don't.
Well, you see, I know about it. And you can be sure that I've been watching very closely. Very closely.
Yeah, well, that is all very nice. After all, it's your life.
And yours.
Can I ask you something else?
Of course, just ask.
Can I ask?
Of course, just ask.
Can I ask you something else?
Of course, just ask.
Please, tell me something about yourself. Do you run this shop here alone?
Yes, unfortunately. My wife used to help me.
Oh, I assume she is... I'm very sorry about that. I didn't mean to,
She's not dead, if that's what you mean. She disappeared.
She disappeared?
Yes, 2031, during the raids against the Luddite riots.
You want to talk about it?
It's been a long time. A very long time.
You know, if you don't want to talk about it, that's...
I can still remember the exact date. It was May 31st, 2031. On that day, the NYPD had announced that the area was to be cleansed of technology criminals because of the bombing campaign of 2030. It was thought that the Luddites had an operations base in the Lower East Side. They didn't consider that a lot of normal residents in the Lower East Side wouldn't want to leave their houses too. In the early hours of the morning, young people had started to gather in the streets. The mood was getting more and more heated, and by midday, the young people had started building barricades in the streets.
Were you there as well?
Anna and I were in the shop. We closed and kept completely quiet so that nothing would happen to us. Old tires were burning in the street. The air was black with smoke. As the armored vehicles moved in, bottles and stones started flying. The police had 300 men there who shot knockout bullets straight into the crowds.
That sounds terrible.
Then, this little girl came to our door and knocked frantically. Anna answered the door and the girl took her by the hand. A man lay injured by the barricades, maybe her father. I stood by the door and called to Anna, told her she should come back. Anna ran to the man. He was still moving, and I saw that she was trying to help him.
And then what happened?
Then riot troops from the NYPD arrived. They pulled Anna away from the man and put a sack over her head. They dragged her to a van. I ran after her and got hit by a knockout bullet.
And then? She was gone? She disappeared just like that?
I never saw her again.
And the police?
I never found out what happened to her.
Tell me more about the Luddites riots. I've tried before to find some information about this online, on GlobalNet. But you can...
Hardly find any information about it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Almost all reports of it have disappeared too.
The more exciting it is to meet someone who has a recollection of what really happened. So, what did exactly happen?
They were the biggest riots New York has ever seen. The Lower East Side was like a war zone for days. The NYPD was searching for the man behind the bombing campaign that had begun on the 20th anniversary of the Union.
Who was it?
A programmer called Jeffrey Stein.
A software programmer?
Yes. He had been working on the development of AI for years, and had come to the conclusion that he had to bomb the AI laboratories and automated communications facilities. He became the first machine basher of the new millennium to take up arms.
In short, he wanted to bomb us back into the Stone Age.
That's one point of view. On the Lower East Side, he had a lot of supporters.
But why did people support him?
The Lower East Side had 6 industrial zones that employed thousands of people. And when all the factories were switched over to robots and equipped with AI, almost everybody in the area was left unemployed.
That I didn't know.
Stein realized that. That's why the robotic units were the main targets of his bombing campaign. For the people on the Lower East Side, that made him a hero.
And the riots?
At some point, the NYPD found out that Stein was hiding out in the Lower East Side. Their plan to smash up the whole area was the cause of the riots.
What became of Stein?
It is said that he was shot during the riots. A man by the name of Emerson has supposedly taken over his role.
And what do you think about the most recent bomb attack?
I think it's wrong.
I'm glad to hear that. I almost got the impression that you sympathize with...
Murderers?
Yeah. Murderers. Cowardly murderers at that.
I sympathize with freedom. But you don't achieve freedom by killing innocents.
Then you are in favor of the cryptography prohibition, I take it?
Absolutely not.
You will vote against it?
I won't have anything to do with it. I'm not going to use a messenger in the automated voting booths.
You're against it, but you won't vote against it? It's really hard for me to follow you there.
I'll wait, Peter. What is wrong will fail. You'll see.
I think this law will pass.
It won't.
Greenberg and Winter did come up with a good PR strategy for it.
It'll all come to nothing.
There is something else. Can I ask you something else?
Of course. Just ask.
May I ask you how old you are?
I'm 64. Year of birth, 1980.
How did you celebrate the Union?
Oh, it was a big, beautiful dream of freedom and prosperity. Unity and peace. We believed all of it. Everything. When President White announced the first Union, people danced in the streets.
Well, it proved itself to be sturdy, didn't it?
You can say that. It has become overwhelmingly powerful.
Who would want to attack it anyway? Besides a few Luddites, maybe.
Nobody's dancing in the streets anymore.
People are content. They don't dance, but they don't complain either. What else do we want?
Yes. What more can we ask for?
That means you don't have any children?
No. No, Anna couldn't have children.
Oh. But the cloning procedure was already known, wasn't it? Did you never consider...
Well, yes, we spoke about it. But I didn't want technology to be the father of my child. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I can understand quite well.
Do you have a cloned child?
No. I have a son who's not cloned. A natural child. My wife carried him for 9 months. Everything just the natural way.
That's nice. You must be proud of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely am.
Do you have a picture?
I don't have one with me. But he is really a very nice boy.
Yes, I'm sure that he is. A child always has a place in the heart of his parents.
You're absolutely right. I have another question. What is it that fascinates you about antiques?
They have a history. They are history. They are the survivors. They can tell us about other times. The things here in this shop are not simply what they are. They aren't just objects that take up space in a room. They are what they represent, what they are linked to. Memories, feelings, thoughts. They are like an archive of what our lives were like.
Maybe sometimes we don't really want to know what the essence of our life once was. Sometimes it's better to forget certain things.
I think it's those things that we would rather forget that are really worth remembering.
But it could also break you, living only in the good old times.
And it can destroy you to live without any memories.
Can I ask you something else?
Of course, just ask.
I'm looking for a certain device, one with which I can play back old magnetic tape cassettes.
Oh, you mean a VCR?
Yeah, probably.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I know. Not a single soul has a thing like that. Nobody seems to need something like that anymore. But I do need one.
That's not what I mean. I'm amazed because you're the second customer in 2 weeks who's wanted to buy such equipment. And you're also the second in the last 10 years.
Another customer? You wouldn't happen to still know his name?
No, he didn't tell me. But he didn't actually buy a VCR. He bought a video camera instead. And a tape.
That would be really more than a strange coincidence. Well then, do you still have a VCR then?
I think so. But I'm not totally sure where it is. You can see how things are here.
Yeah, of course. I'll go and look around right now. And if there is one here, I'll find it. Can I ask you something else?
Of course, just ask.
I have to go. I'll see you later.
Okay.
War of the Worlds by Orson Welles. Gonna get it.
Okay.
Hello. It's me again.
What's up, man?
I have to go. See you. It's me again.
Just look at that, our subversive colleague. Well, partner, what dastardly deeds can I congratulate you on?
I was at the SET Eye, and I snooped around a little bit.
And did you find out what your secretive friend wanted there?
No, not yet.
Pitiful. What do you want to do now?
I don't know yet, but I will find that out as well. That cable over there on the workbench. Can I have it?
Have? What do you mean? For free?
Do you really need to take money for everything? You don't even use this wire anyway.
Okay, okay. But listen, you gotta give me something for it.
What do you mean, something? For example?
Something that I would like. A small gift of recognition. A bonus.
All right, I'll think of something. There is something else. Okay.
See you later.
Here. How about this in exchange for the cable, huh? Didn't cost me too much of my time to get my hands on this one.
War at the Worlds. Hey, that's cool. That's one of my favorite radio plays.
That's what I thought.
Thanks, man. That's really generous of you.
You want to say I'm an idiot.
Okay, then. Have fun with a high-tech cable, man.
What tape? That's it.
Peter, hi. I had a great day. How was yours?
I was gone. Traveling.
Great. Where were you?
In Arecibo. At the SETI Institute.
Ah, so, what did you do there?
I just wanted to check it out. It's very interesting.
Anything interesting?
Well, actually, there are quite a lot of interesting things.
How did you come to think of that? Did someone recommend it to you?
You didn't even ask me if I enjoyed myself.
Oh, of course. Sorry, I'm always so curious, can ask so many questions, and I always forget to ask the most important ones. So, did you have fun? Was the weather fine? Did you see a few aliens?
Yeah, lots of aliens, actually, but inflatable ones.
I have heard that, yes. I'm glad you had a good time and didn't have to think about the incident with your neighbor.
Well, I'm thinking about even more now. I gotta get going. See you later. Hello, Mrs. Oswald.
Hi, Peter. You were gone for quite a while. Got any news?
You could say that. Let me ask you this, Debbie.
What? Anyway.
It's an analog. I'm sure you...
Oh,
Something like... Anyway, did you know that? I found that maybe left, but we're also... Why did he...
I really have no idea. Grandma's... Oh, maybe it...
Do you recall the...
Well, he was as...
You have... Maybe...
I don't...
Do you mind?
Sure.
Here's something I wanted to show you. There is... I think I have to get going now. I'll get in touch with you by messenger in case I hear something.
Thanks, Mr. Wright.
That's it. Hello, Mrs. Oswald. All right, let's start.